Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I am Axion,
I'm Scint.
and we are resuming and continuing our discussion of Mariel of Redwall by Brian Jacques. I've done that twice now. And continuing our playthrough of Undertale.
Isn't Undertale just kind of a pretty-looking game? Like, yeah, it's low poly, but overall, the aesthetic is just there.
Well, it's not low poly, it's sprite. Because it's completely 2D. There's no 3D stuff whatsoever.
I know. It's just like, it looks low poly. It looks very stylized, as opposed to like some of the more detailed art you'd see in other games of a similar theme. So yeah, it goes for a very specific aesthetic, and it achieves it very, very well. Don't you agree?
Yes. I think that's kind of the advantage of sprite-based games. And it's just like, sprite-based games have the advantage of that very specific stylized art style that often ages better than things designed to be top of the line at the time it comes out, because being the best something can be is... Yeah, and it's a moving target as a result. And while it looks good, it can look good at the time it's made, it doesn't move with the continuing advances of technology.
Now, you can probably guess why I bring this up, and the music would probably be next on the docket to discuss, but you probably know where I'm going with this.
Yep, but go ahead and explain anyway. Ow.
Alright. There's a certain level of artistry when you commit to stylization like this, and artistry is kind of central to Mariel of Redwall. I mean, artistry is what gets Mariel and Joseph captured by Gabool, because they would not be out on the ship if they hadn't had to deliver the very specifically ordered bell for Lord Ronblade. And much ado is made over the course of the book about the bell's design and just everything to do with it, how much care is taken in its making, how specific the pictures around its edges are. So, yeah, artistry is really... You remember you can shoot that, right?
Yeah, but I only have one bullet this time, so I can't blow up the blocks.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there's actually a reason this time that I have to do the shuffling and figure it out.
Yeah. Rip. But, yeah, so artistry is, in and of itself, kind of thematically important here. But I think it's worth noting that artistry throughout the Redwall series, because this is not the only story this comes up in, the tapestry is also a pretty big deal in original Redwall.
Mm-hmm.
But only the Redwallers and, the goodly woodland creatures are ever seen creating their own art. The vermin don't. Whether it's because they're incapable or just uninterested, they're only ever seen taking and or defacing the artistry of the goodly types. So this gives the impression that art is a means to an end if you are not of pure heart, but if you are, art is its own pursuit.
And as a result, like you said, it becomes more of a means to an end than for the value of the actual art itself. And it's kind of reflectable in real life, where you have the dissonance between artists who are making art for the sake of making art and people who are making art for the purposes of getting a tax write-off.
It does definitely raise the question of, the importance of art overall to society. Like, I would argue that art is incredibly important to society. Art is what helps us process all manner of complex issues that are hard to put into words, but sometimes you can, use an allegory or an image full of symbolism to kind of help get the feeling across more eloquently than your words ever could. On the other hand, I am a public school teacher, so I know that the arts are usually under threat because they're quote-unquote unnecessary, and therefore they're the first to be targeted when budget cuts come into play. And do not get me started on this, so I don't know why I went down that road.
But it's a recognizable
we can afford new art
issue.
supplies, we can afford to astroturf the football field.
But it's something that everybody is passingly familiar with as just kind of a situation that we end up having to deal with a lot. And it's a situation that's familiar to us. You can talk to almost anybody and they'll tell you about, oh yeah, our local arts organization of varying kinds is severely underfunded, and they never have enough people, and they're always looking to volunteers, and they're always doing bake sales or fundraisers or whatever. But if you then look to sports, it's always like, we've got a new football field, we have a new sports stadium, the kids just got new uniforms.
Yeah, you're on TV.
Yep, every time I come there. I'm trying to find one of those supply boxes because I need healing stuff.
Well, but yeah, and it's once again proof that, the people who make the higher up decisions have little to no idea of how education actually works. Because, for a lot of kids, the arts and these, quote, unnecessary wastes of time programming that they want to cut for the sake of not, spending 5 extra cents for somebody's taxes, that's the stuff that gets kids to school. You need that brain break, that ability to express yourself, that chance to learn to do something that's not just math and science and writing. What are you going to write about if you don't have any experience with art and expressing yourself? So what do these people have against people being able to put things into words? Or images, as the case would be.
And unfortunately, at least in my experience, the answer is usually something along the lines of real life. Because these people don't understand that writing and art are not just for fantasy, for fiction.
Oh, I think they do understand it, because a lot of these people in their homes have collections of books, of pictures, of little knickknacks.
Well, that's kind of my point, is they don't make the connection between those two things. They don't make the connection between this organization or this extracurricular activity or this function leads to more people being able to produce the kind of things that they get their entertainment from. They don't have that connection between those two incidents. They don't recognize that one leads to the other.
It's consumption for consumption's sake while being removed from the process. Not understanding how something is made or how somebody else could conceive it leads to an undervaluing of the overall, field, which I think is what we have in Redwall right here. Gabul wants all these riches, all these pieces of art, all this bell. He has no appreciation for them other than... Is the screen shaking for you too?
Screen shaking? No. Where was the screen shaking?
Okay, must on the shared window. I don't know. Sorry, it was making me dizzy, so it might just be a glitch on my end. But yeah, Gabul has no regard for the value of these things other than line go up, increase his own personal wealth.
Yeah, solely for their monetary value.
Yep, and the fact that he has them and you don't, and that means he has more than you, which means he is more important than you. Like, I don't know how much monetary value there is in a bell. Like, I mean, obviously, they're really expensive works of art.
I was about to say, the raw metal has value, but I don't think Gabul cares overly much about the value of melting down the bell for its metal.
Yep, it's simply wealth and ownership as a status symbol rather than appreciating the process.
And let's be honest,
whereas you look at the Redwallers, yes?
Where is Gabul going to spend all that money? He is an infamous, well-known pirate who is completely secluded on an extremely remote island that has no direct connection to the mainland and who almost never leaves the island himself. The book comes out outright and says he hasn't been on a ship in years, leaving the pirating to his underlings to enjoy being king. And we're going back to our very second video series with Scrooge, where he is gathering wealth for the sake of gathering wealth.
Yep. And of course, to kill anyone who threatens that status quo. Scrooge did not go that far, but Gabul will. Gabul is so paranoid about losing his status that he starts inventing these threats in his mind to the point where his entire crew thinks he's lost his marbles, which he in fact has. But yeah, compared to the Redwallers, where every time you see them, they're working together on something, they're enjoying life, they're talking about making things, they're talking about making food, the tapestry, all these other things. Like, there's a lot of joy for just creation itself. There's recitations of poetry for no other reason than, hey, poetry and music are great. You can't really gain a whole lot of wealth from that, but you don't have to.
Speaking of
money, I'm not really sure what to add that wouldn't be redundant to what we've already said. Is that, like, the importance of artistry to a well-rounded life and the emotional void of not appreciating that.
Yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory at this point, and if you really want to hear more on the idea of just hoarding money for the sake of hoarding, you can always go back and watch our Christmas Carol episodes. But I think we'll leave it there. See you all next time.
Bye.